Hello students, welcome to the second part of software project planning or software management concepts that we can say. This is a second part or the continuation of project management concepts part 1. The reason for giving this at last is after you study the whole chapter, you can come to know what is happening in this part of software management concepts. So let us begin with the topic. The topic is about set for a task set for project planning. Now, task set for project planning, you first have to establish a project scope. Now, what is a project scope? Project scope is nothing but you are trying to define the various types of functionalities that can be in your project. Now, functionalities can be your you can say the functionalities are your problem solving tasks or your features of the system or your various functions that are to be delivered to the end user, or they can be the input and output of your system. They can be the content that is presented to the user. It can be a sequence of how you are using the software, what kind of performance, what kind of constraints, what kind of interfaces, what kind of reliability your system is giving. Then what are the various use cases that you are developing. So scope is defined in these ways. Okay, next is it is describing the feasibility or determining the feasibility of the project. Now feasibility means what? If not everything in this world is feasible, the same is true for softwares. Now software has feasibility to be mentioned in various dimensions. Let us name a few. Let us take a technology. So technology means can defects be reduced if you are using a specific language? Is this particular language useful for developing the technology? That is what you are seeing in this technology feasibility. Next, you have financial feasibility, where you are checking the budget, or you are checking that can the development be completed at a specific cost bear by the organization? Is it affordable? Can the market afford it? Can the target audience afford it? Then comes time. So time will be, is the project able to be completed in the particular deadline? Then will the project's time to market beat the competition if some other organization is developing the software? Next comes feasibility in terms of resources. That does the organization have all the infrastructure or all the resources? Resources in form of people, resources in form of infrastructure, in form of budget. Okay, all these things are seen in resources. So this is a feasibility where you are checking that can it be converted into reality. Next is analyzing risks. We have already completed analyzing risks in the two lectures, that is risk handling and risk management. You can explain how you are identifying, how you are mitigating, monitoring and managing risks, how you are uh, refining the risk. Okay, and these are the ways how you are analyzing your risk. Next is you are defining the required resources. Now what are resources? So resources here can be in form of human resources, that is your manpower. Okay, so it begins by checking who are the people who are going to develop, who is your team. They are checking the skills of the team. Then they are having different positions in an organization, like your manager, like your senior engineer, like your special engineer for telecommunication, special for database, your client server. Then there are a few people who are junior engineers. Then there can be a single individual who may be performing the requirement gathering task. Then if you have a very large geographical team, your team may be dispersed across different locations. Then you are supposed to specify where the locations are, how they are going to communicate, how many resources you will actually need. All this will come under human resources. Next is reusable software resource. Like they are off-shelf components, that is software that can be acquired from a third party. Now they can be COTS that you have studied in, I think, chapter number 2. Okay, so COTS are commercial off the shelf and they are ready to use. You can integrate the existing applications inside your current application that you are developing. Then you have full experience components, like you have existing specifications like design, code, then you can test your data. So similar applications and modifications can be done so that you can have less risk in developing the software that you are making. Then partial experience components are some new kind of codes that can be used for directly taking from the third party, integrating, and partially you are using the software but not fully. And new components can be built directly by a team if they are technically more experienced. Okay, then you have certain environmental resources, like let us take an example of software engineering environment. Then what kind of hardware you require, what kind of software you require, which operating system will work better, are there certain security bugs in a development environment that you are using. Okay, so that will come under environmental resources. So these are the various types of resources. Next is your estimating cost and effort. You can estimate cost and effort by decomposing the problem. Then you can develop estimates using size, using object oriented, using function point, using process, using use cases, and then you can reconcile, or you can integrate, or you can test, or you can redefine all the various estimates that you have done. You can also use the COCOMO model here to develop the estimates for effort, the development time, the staff size, the productivity. Okay, next is you are developing a project schedule, which we have studied in project scheduling and tracking, where we are doing nothing but we are establishing a subtask. We are dividing the work as a work breakdown structure. Then we are drawing them into a task network. We are using the scheduling tools like your CPM, like your PERT, like your 3-time estimations. We are also using a timeline or a Gantt chart. Okay, and then you are having some tracking mechanism as to see how many milestones you have covered and how many are left. Next is characteristics of an effective project manager. Now, the project manager is someone who should be able to cultivate all these 6 qualities in him. First is a problem solving quality. So a project manager should be able to diagnose any technical or organizational issues that are happening in the software development. He should apply he should apply lessons learned from the past into the current situations. He should be flexible enough to adapt to any changes that are coming if any solution that he has applied goes fruitless. Then you have managerial identity. Now, managerial identity is nothing but a kind of way in which your project manager will help you to take charge of the project, and they must have the confidence to assume what kind of control is needed, then necessary to ensure what good technical practices you should follow. They should be having the instinct kind of thing in them to handle the project and go through the whole phase in a smooth manner. Next is achievement. Now, a competent manager, he must reward the initiative and accomplishment, or to optimize the productivity of a team. And he should also demonstrate his own actions, and he should set a example, and he should be willing to take risks, even though the risks will be punishing sometimes, but he should be willing to take, because you know that if you don't take a risk, you don't gain. Okay, next is influence and team building. Now, influence and team building means An effective project manager must be able to read people. Okay, they should be able to understand the verbal signals, the non-verbal signals. They must also be able to see what kind of situation is there, what kind of an environment is there in the team. Are there high stress situations? Is there a relaxing atmosphere? Is there a friendly and knowledge sharing kind of atmosphere? Okay, and they should also possess leadership and motivation skills, where they should be they should encourage, they should have the ability to encourage by push or pull, and they should produce their best. They should help the team bring out the best. And lastly, they should be innovative, and they should feel free to be creative. They should not bind the people in the team to limits, but they should be set free to explore and to be more creative, so that the projects that they develop will be creative. Okay, next is what your software project planning does. So it is produced at the culmination of the planning task. So project planning will happen when your planning task starts, and it is a kind of document. It provides a baseline for cost and for scheduling information. It is a document which includes the following. So first is scope and resources that will be used in form of staff, in form of customers, in form of software making. Then it defines what kind of risks are going to happen, what kind of schedule you have made, what kind of cost estimation, what kind of effort estimation. All these things will be there in the plan. Next is it provides an overall approach to software development to all the people associated with the project. Now they are managers, they are higher management, they are your practitioners or developers, they are your customers, they are your users, they are your target audience, everything. Okay, then it outlines how quality will be assured and what kind of after services you will be giving them. Next is it is a presentation of cost and schedule which will vary with the audience that is addressed. So if you are creating a plan for the customer, you will show the cost and schedule as per the customer. If you are building the presentation for a developer, you will show them their aspect. So it is not a static document, but it is going to change as per the audience. Okay, now if you are representing an internal plan is used as an internal document, then it is going to show you the results of each and every estimation technique that is presented. If the plan is for outside use, outside the organization, then it will have a cost breakdown structure, which they won't be able to understand if you give the previous document. They will need a breakdown structure with all the effort estimation, cost estimation, and then they will be able to understand or interpret it. Similarly, the degree of detail that you are containing in the schedule may vary as per audience and formality. So if you are telling the customer about which schedule you are following, you don't need to go into depth. You just need to tell them start and end. But if you are making a schedule plan for developers, you need to go into minutest details so that they are able to complete all the milestones that are coming in a particular fixed time, so that they are able to deliver in the deadline. Next is it is not a static document, it is a changing document, because you already know that your requirements of the software are changing, customer will come up with something new. So you need to revisit the plan, you need to update the risks that are happening, update the effort estimation, cost estimation. Based on that, you have to sometimes change the schedule. That is why your plan, once you create, is not a static document, it will change. Okay, next is software failures. Now what are the reasons of software failures? Now softwares fail when the developers or practitioners are not able to understand the needs of the customer. Then if the scope, that is the features of the system, are poorly defined, if you are having a technology change, if your business need changes, if there are unrealistic deadlines, if there is no sponsorship or proper budget available, if the team is not skillful, if the managers and developers are not following the best practices, your software will fail inevitably. Okay, next is how can you avoid such kind of failure? You can avoid the failures when you are starting on the right foot, means your strong points. When you are maintaining a particular momentum, a speed, you are not thinking that if I go this fast, I'm going to finish the project early. So let me take some break. You should maintain your momentum and your speed throughout the phase of development. Then you should track the progress of your project, means you should be able to check how many milestones have been completed and how many are left, and you should be able to take smart decisions as well as quick decisions also, and you should be able to conduct a post-mortem analysis where if you have finding any risk or something, some mishap has been happened, then you can directly analyze that. You should be able to recorrect it, and you should take care that you are not repeating the same mistakes again. Okay, so that was all about software project management concepts through software planning and through project failures. Thank you.